Hi guys, welcome to my workshop. This is Pretzel Cosplay and I want to show you something that I made for my Loki costume. This is the axe that I made for my costume and it's made from Worbla. And it features Loki's sons on it. On this side the wolf Fenrir and on the other side Sleipnir, the 8-legged horse. And if you want to see how I made this prop, then keep watching this video. If you want to support my work and learn even more about how to make some detailed armor pieces, then be sure to check out my book. To cut out the foam, I use a hot knife. It cuts through the foam like butter. The foam that I use is Plastazote foam. It's a lightweight foam and it comes in different thicknesses. Here I'm using the 2 cm thickness. To glue the foam together to get an even thicker piece, I use contact glue. You need to apply contact glue to both pieces that you want to stick together and then wait approximately 10 to 15 minutes until the glue is not wet anymore, and then you can put the two pieces together. Use some pressure to really make a good bond. Once the foam is glued, you can't take it off anymore. So do this carefully. Then I cut out some of the excess pieces with a knife and I use a sanding sponge to really make it smooth. I also want to add some more foam pieces, so I use a little bit more of the contact glue. Again, on both sides that I want to glue together. And then I stick it onto the axe. I use a soldering iron to burn some holes in the foam. This creates a nice texture that looks like hammered steel. I do this outside and I wear a mask because this is not really healthy. I also use the soldering iron to make some cool battle damage. Look how easy it goes. Again, I do this outside for reasons. The details that I want to add to the axe are a little bit thinner, so for that I use a thinner foam. It's craft foam, 2 mm thick. This is the contact glue that I use. It's from Mink, but you can use any contact glue that you can find. Again, I will apply the glue to both sides that I want to glue together. And after it's dry, I stick the pieces on there. And I really love this kind of glue because it's really easy to use and it does a great job. For the handle of the axe, I use the PVC pipe as a base and I cut some pieces of foam, lightweight foam, and glued them with the contact glue onto the PVC pipe. And this is how it looks when it's assembled, but it still needs some Worbla to make it sturdier. So I cut the shape of the axe out of Worbla a little bit bigger so I can cover it all. I heat it up and then I shape it over the blade. And when Worbla is hot, you can stretch it, so that's really good because then you can shape it over the prop. I just use my fingers to push in the Worbla and make the details stand out. And I just keep repeating this process until the whole axe shows. It's so cool to see how it finally starts to look like something. And to make the details stand out even more, I use a wooden clay modeling tool. And I just push against the edges when the Worbla is hot. This will really make the details stand out. I also use this tool to make the holes a little bit more visible. And again, some last fine-tuning. And then I add some Worbla to the other side of the axe. And I cut it off with scissors. For this I use normal but really sturdy scissors. When the Worbla is still hot, you can easily cut it. And this is how one side of the axe looks. There's still a seam, but we will fix that later. On the handle of the axe I wanted some parts to look like wood. For this I used 2 layers of Worbla and wrapped it around the handle and then heated it up and used the wooden tool to carve some wood structure in it. For the other details on the handle I used some black Worbla. Remember that seam on the blade of the axe? With a rotary tool you can easily get rid of that seam. Just use the sanding bit and sand it off. And I always use a vacuum cleaner with it to suck away the sawdust. And that's the finished look. I primed my axe with some PVA primer, which is a bit like wood glue. Then I painted a base color, a shadow color of brown. After that I used golden acrylic paint to paint the axe. And some brown acrylic paint to paint some shadows. And lastly I used some white paint markers to paint some highlights on it. And it's done! Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a lot with this video. And if you have questions, you can post them in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my work, you can always check out my Facebook and Instagram, and you can of course also watch my live videos on Twitch. Goodbye everyone!